Hello, boys and girls. I have a story to read to you today. This is one of my favorite books. It was one I read to my children when they were young, and I love to read it to my grandchildren now. And I think you might like it. So let's read it together. It's called The Monster at the End of This Book, starring lovable, furry old Grover. It says, The Monster at the End of This Book. This is a very dull page. What is on the next page? What did that say? On the first page, did that say that there is a monster at the end of this book? It did. I'm so scared of monsters. Listen, I have an idea. If you do not turn any pages, we will never get to the end of this book. And that is good, because there is a monster at the end of this book. So please don't turn the page. You turned another page. Maybe you do not understand. You see, turning pages will bring us to the end of this book, and there is a monster at the end of this book. But this will stop you from turning pages. See, I am tying the pages together so you cannot. You turned another page. You do not know what you are doing to me. Now stop turning pages. There. I, Grover, am nailing this page to the next one so that you will not be able to turn it, and we will not get any closer to the monster at the end of this book. All right, all right, all right. Do you know that every time you turn another page, you not only get us closer to the monster at the end of this book, but you make a terrible mess. This will stop you from turning pages. A heavy, thick, solid, strong brick wall. I would just like to see you try to turn this page. Do you know that you are very strong? The next page is the end of this book, and there is a monster at the end of this book. Oh, I am so scared. Please do not turn the page. Please, please. Well, look at that. This is the end of the book, and the only one here is me. I, lovable, furry old Grover, am the monster at the end of this book. And you were so scared. The end. I told you and told you there was nothing to be afraid of. Oh, I am so embarrassed. Poor old Grover was so scared of the monster at the end of the book, but the only one he had to be afraid of was himself, and there was nothing to be afraid of. It reminds me of another book, my favorite book, the Bible, and the Bible has in it from God to angels to Jesus saying, don't be afraid. Did you know that the Bible says it 365 times, don't be afraid? That's a don't be afraid for every day of the year. And if you go to the end of Matthew's gospel, we know why we don't have to be afraid. At the end of Matthew's gospel, Jesus says, I am with you always to the very end of the age. Jesus is always with us, so we don't have anything to be afraid of. You know, sometimes people think of another monster at the end of the book, this book, and it's the book of Revelations. But the book of Revelations is nothing to be afraid of, because at the very end of Revelations, Jesus says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last. the beginning and the end. Jesus is with us from the beginning all the way to the end. And the book of Revelations tells us everything is going to be fine. Everything's going to be all right. So there's no monster at the end of the book, nothing to be afraid of. And we thank Jesus for that. Y'all have a good day. Bye-bye.